Welcome back to lecture 4 for the course Current Regulatory Requirement for Conducting Trial in India. In the lecture 4, Drug and Cosmetic Act and rules thereunder, we are going to see the objective of Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and rules thereunder 1945, then the different chapters available in this act, then rules pertains to new drug and clinical trial, different schedules available in the rules, that is from schedule A to schedule Y. Then you will be familiar with the drug testing laboratories. So what will we learn in lecture 4? As I have said, in this lecture we are going to see the objective of Drug and Cosmetic Act, the different chapter, that is chapter from 1st to 5 we will see in detail, then the different forms required for the permission of the clinical trial and other forms, then different schedules and the different drug testing laboratories. So this is the Drug and Cosmetic Act. It is available on our website, that is www.cdsu.gov.in. The act is exercised by Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The act is available, as I have said, as a web version, and it is amended up to 31st December 2016. So let us see the objective of the Drug and Cosmetic Act and rules thereunder. The Drug and Cosmetic Act was passed on 10th April 1940 with the main object to regulate import, manufacture, sale and distribution of drug and cosmetic. Cosmetics has been added later on. How does the act do it? The drugs are available in market by two ways, either by import or by the manufacturer, and it reaches to the patients through sale or distribution. So it is very important to regulate the manufacture, import, sale and distribution of this drug to reach the authenticated standard drug to the patients. The act regulates the import of drug in India so that no substandard or spurious drug will enter into our country, and the act does it by issuing the import license to the importer and registration certificate after satisfying that the drug where it is manufactured is in compliance with the Schedule M or good manufacturing practices. The act prohibits the manufacture of substandard or spurious drug in the country. See, the manufacturing is also given the manufacturing license, and before giving the manufacturing license, the applicant has to apply to the licensing authority, either state or the center. The drug inspectors in this regard then verify the compliance of this applicant, whether it is compliant with the good manufacturing practice or not, and after satisfaction then they submit its report, and verification of the report, it confirms that the facility provided for the manufacturing of the drug are compliance with the Schedule M and good manufacturing practices, and after that the manufacturing license is issued by the state licensing authority. The act provides for the control over the sale and distribution of drug by only trained and qualified persons. As I have said, the drugs are reaching to the patient either sale or by distribution. To control this sale and distribution, the act provides control over this sale and distribution by restricting it to the qualified persons. The person who is selling or distributing this drug required to be having a qualification of pharmacy. The facility provided for sale and storage of the drug should be adequate and as per the norms of the Drug and Cosmetic Act. Qualified pharmacists, then proper storage facility should be there, then only we can ensure that the correct drug is reaching to the patient. The act also provides for the control over the manufacture, sale and distribution of some other types of drug, that is we call traditional drug, Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani and homeopathic drugs. So in this presently we are not regulating the sale of Ayurvedic drugs, but we are regulating the manufacturing of this Ayurvedic drug. However, the homeopathic drug, for its sale it require a license. Certain provision of the Act regulate the import, manufacture, sale and distribution of cosmetics. So we have seen the drug is for the both drug and the cosmetics. So it is the duty of the regulator to ensure the safety and quality of cosmetics also. So whatever the cosmetic available in the market, for its manufacturing it required to take prior license, and if that facility provided for manufacturing is in compliance with the norms, then the manufacturing permission can be given. Same is for the import of the cosmetics. In this case the applicant has to apply to the licensing authority, then they will get a registration certificate. After verifying the data submitted, permission can be granted. To have regular inspection of licensed premises by drug inspectors. So after giving the manufacturing permission, to have the routine checkup of the quality of the drug and the compliance of the premises, whether it is as per Schedule M or not, there is a provision for the routine inspection. The state licensing authority drug inspectors and the central licensing authority drug inspector, they are routinely checking up the compliance. Even after the batch is in market, there is a provision to withdraw the samples of the available product, and these samples can be sent to the testing for its quality, and after satisfying result, then that can be sold. To have the control over the standard of drug and cosmetic, taking sample and analyzing them at appropriate laboratories. So these laboratories, what are these laboratories? We will see in our next slide. To provide special provision to regulate the preparation, standardization and storage of biological and special products. So the Act is provided with the special provision for the biological products like vaccines, blood product. These are very sensitive product, and permission for which is given through the central licensing authority, and the specific rules and regulations are there in this Act and rules. To prescribe the manner of labeling and packing of the various classes of drug and cosmetic. So the Act is provided with the labeling and packing of the various classes of the drug. So it means the what should be the content on the label, that is also given in the rules and the Act. Say for example, what is the manufacturing date, what should be its expiry date, and what should be its storage condition, the name of the ingredient, the composition of ingredient, that should available on the label of this marketed drug, and it is mentioned under the drug and cosmetic rule, that is rule 92, 93 and other rules. Now let us see what is this Drug and Cosmetic Act and rules. We have seen the objective. Now we will see the content. So we can say that Drug and Cosmetic Act and rule, we can divide it into two parts. The first part is the Drug and Cosmetic Act. The Act is having 6 chapters and 2 schedules. These 6 chapters are from chapter 1st to chapter 5, including chapter 4a. We will see in detail about this chapter in our subsequent slides. Part 2 of the Act is Drug and Cosmetic rules, and these rules, for the sake of convenience, again divided into 19 parts. The part 10a is specifically for import or manufacture of new drug for conducting clinical trials or for marketing. At present there are 174 rules followed by schedule, and these schedules are from A to schedule Y. We have seen in our previous lecture Schedule Y, it is for requirement and guideline for permission to import and or manufacture of new drug for sale or to undertake clinical trials. All these clinical trials, new drug, then manufacture, import, the definition, what it mean by, we have already seen in our previous slides. So coming to the next slide. So the chapters available in the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1914. First chapter is the introductory chapter. It is the introduction and the definitions. So in this chapter, the short title, then extent and commencement of the act is given. Different types of definition what we have seen in our lecture 1, that is definition of Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani, definition of drug section 3b, then definition of cosmetic, what is means by board, that is DTAB board, government analyst, what is means by inspector, what is mean by import, manufacturing, and some other definitions are given in this chapter first. Chapter second is related to the DTAB and DCC. DTAB is Drug Technical Advisory Board, DCC is Drug Consultative Committee. These committees are provided in the Act to provide the technical guidance in any matter related thereof the drugs. DCC committee is also there. So in this committee ensures the uniform implementation of Drug and Cosmetic Act and the rules thereunder across the country. The detailed composition, function, then who should be the chairman of this committee and what are the other members of this committee and the frequency of their meeting, that everything is given in this chapter. Chapter 3 is of import of drug and cosmetics. So in this chapter, standards of quality, what is mean by standard of quality, what is mean by misbranded drug, what is mean by spurious drug, then what is mean by adulterated drug, everything is about given in this chapter. All the definitions and the if somebody manufactures such type, imports such type of misbranded spurious drug, what should be the penalties, what should be the punishment, that is also given in this chapter. Chapter 4 is related to the standard of standard of this misbranded, adulterated, spurious drug, and this chapter is for the manufacturing. The previous chapter is for the import and this chapter is for the manufacture, sale and distribution of drug and cosmetic. So here also the standard of quality for the manufacturing, what is means by the misbranded drug, what is mean by adulterated drug, what is spurious drug, and all this definition for related to the manufacturing has been given. The definitions of all these spurious drug also given in this chapter, then the power of inspector, then procedure of sampling, then the procedure for government analyst, then penalties, offences for the manufacturing the substandard drugs, all these things are given in this chapter. Chapter 4a, that is related to the traditional system of medicine, Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani drug. So the manufacturing, sale, distribution, how it has to be regulated, who has to manufacture, which schedule, which forms are required for the application, that everything regarding Ayurvedic, Siddha and Unani system has been given in this chapter 4a. Chapter 5 is a miscellaneous chapter. In this chapter, whatever is not covered in earlier up to 4a chapter is given in this chapter, like special courts, then power of the government to give the direction and some other provisions given in this chapter. Coming to the next slide, that is rules related to new drugs and clinical trials. We have seen what are the rules which were related to the clinical trial and new drug in our previous lecture. So we'll see these rules in detail one by one. Rule 122 DA, this rule is for application for permission to conduct clinical trial for new drug or investigational new drug. Definition of both of these, that is IND and new drug, we have seen in our lecture first. So in this rule, it is also mentioned that the no clinical trial for new drug, whether for clinical investigation, that is for medical device, or any clinical experiment by any institution shall be conducted except under and in accordance with the permission in writing by the licensing authority defined in clause B of rule 21. It means as per these rules, the clinical trial is require prior permission from the licensing authority, which is defined in clause B of rule 21, which is a DCGI or CDSCO. Then further in this rule, it is given how to apply for the new drug permission, how to apply for the clinical trial phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, also for the phase 4, and what is the different fees required, what are the different forms required, in which pro forma it has to be given, that everything about the application for permission to conduct the clinical trial and new drug given in these rules. We have seen in our first lecture that academic clinical trial, that is for the research purpose, does not require any regulatory permission. So that also mentioned in this rule only. Then we have seen the definitions of clinical trials, GCT, IND, NCA. This is also given in this rule 122 DA under the heading explanation. The next rule, that is rule 122 DB, is related to the suspension or cancellation of permission or approval. So whatever the permissions given, if the licensing authority found that the permission which is given with certain condition has not been complied by the importer or manufacturer under this part, then the licensing authority, after giving him a show cause notice, may suspend or cancel that permission as per this rule 122 DB. The next rule, that is 122 DC, it is related to the appeal. So if the permission has been cancelled for the manufacturing or for the import, then that applicant can again apply or appeal to the central government within 60 days. And the central government, if find the justification has been given properly, then the central government can take a decision as it deems fit. The next rule, that is rule 122 DAB, it is related to the compensation in case of injury or death during clinical trial. This rule has been added in 2013 by the GSR 53. So in this rule, the clauses regarding the compensation, how to give the compensation, in which cases the compensation has to be given, whether the compensation is in the form of the free medical management or whether it is in form of the financial assistance, and whether that injury or SAE is related to the clinical trial or not, how to ascertain it, that is given in these rules. How to relate this injury or SAE, and when we can say that the injury or SAE is related to the clinical trial, the possible reasons are also given in these rules. These possible reasons like failure to comply with the protocol, then the failure of the investigational drug. Likewise, the reasons are given. If these reasons are there, then the sponsor has to give the compensation to the subjects. Rule 122 DAC, it is related to the permission to conduct a clinical trial. This rule has also been inserted in the drug and cosmetic rule in 2013 by GSR 63. So this is to give the permission, in which cases the licensing authority can give the permission to conduct a clinical trial. The applicant has to apply to the central licensing authority in a prescribed format and along with the documents, These documents, after verifying if the data found adequate and licensing authority satisfied the data given are adequate, then the licensing authority can issue a clinical trial permission to conduct phase 1, phase 2 or phase 3 for that drugs. These permissions can be given with conditions, and that the applicant has to follow these conditions of the permissions. The conditions like clinical trial to be conducted as per approval and as per the Schedule Y guideline, as per the GCP guidelines. The condition like ethics committee approval is required for prior approval before initiation of the any clinical trial. Then registration of CTRI, that is clinical trial, has to be registered on the site Clinical Trial Registry of India, that is also mentioned in the condition. Then regarding SAE reporting, the ethics committee and the sponsor will report the SAE if occur within particular time to the licensing authority. That condition also stipulated there. Then regarding the compensation clause, that in case of injury or death, the sponsor will be entitled to provide the detailed compensation, that is also given there. Rule 122 DD. This rule is related to the registration of ethics committee, and it has been introduced in the drug and cosmetic rule in 2013 White GSR 72. As per this rule, the no ethics committee, if it is not registered, cannot review or approve the protocol for the regulatory purpose. So application for ethics committee, registration, how to apply, where to apply, it is given under these rules. The licensing authority, after satisfying that the documents submitted by the applicant are well formed, then can give the permission of the registration. Also in this case, in case of SAE, the opinion has to be forwarded by the ethics committee, that is also stipulated there, and the registration of this ethics committee is valid for 3 years. The amendment has been made to this rule 122 DAB, and this is regarding the clarification on the criteria for eligibility of compensation. This is given in 2015. Coming to the next slide, the different forms related to the new drug and clinical trials. So form 44, it is the most important form because it is an application for grant of permission to import or manufacture a new drug to undertake a clinical trial. So the applicant has to apply in the form 44 pro forma given under the rules of this act. In this form, the applicant has to submit the name of the firm who is applying, then the particulars of new drug, that is its a dose, dosage form, strength, name of the drug, its international name, then the regulatory status of the drug, whether the drug is withdrawn from some country, whether it is prohibited in any other country, the reason thereof, or if it is approved in country or it is marketed in that country, that regulatory status has to be given in this form. Then about the marketing information, then propose the draft label, what should be the draft label, what indication they are going to give on this label of the drug, and the monograph and other things also given in this form. In this form, it is also given that data required to be submitted should be as per Schedule Y. So we are going to see this Schedule Y and what is the data requirement in detail in our next slide. Then form 45, it is permission to import finished formulation of a new drug. So if somebody want to import new drug, then he has to apply in form 45, and if it is a new drug, again it will require first clinical trials. So in this form, again the name of company, then detail of drug like name, dosage form, strength, indication of the drug which is to be imported, that is given in this form. Condition of permissions are also given in this permission, and these conditions are regarding that the applicant will follow the specification of the drug what he has submitted, then the labeling condition, whatever the draft is approved, that label will be there on the final package, and also the warning, if any, that applicant has to be given on the label, that is also given. Warning like to be sold by retail prescription of gynecologist, diabetologist, or whatever the approved by the licensing authority, that warning is also has to be written by the applicant. Form 45A is permission to import raw material, that is a bulk drug ingredient. So above form was for the formulation and this form is for the raw material. So for this also the conditions have been mentioned in the form, the condition of permission to conform to the specification. So whatever the specification approved by licensing authority, the applicant while manufacturing or while importing that drug has to follow that specification, that condition is stipulated there. Even though this permission has been given for the raw material, it doesn't mean that the formulation he can import or manufacture. He has to take a separate approval for the formulation for import or the manufacture of these drugs. The next form, that is form 46, it is permission approval for manufacture of new drug formulation. So again in these forms the details of the company, detail of the drug with respect to name, dosage form, composition has to be given. Condition of permissions are given that the applicant will follow the specification, labeling rules, and the warning, if any, stipulated in the condition of the permission, that he will follow, that is given in this form. Then form 46A is a permission approval for manufacture of raw material. It is also the same, that the permission for the manufacture what we have seen in the permission for the import of the raw material, there are some conditions given that the applicant will follow the specification and he will take the separate approval for its manufacturing of the formulation. Coming to the next slides, now what I have said that the rules contain the schedules, that schedules are from the schedule A to schedule Y. So we will see these schedules in detail. What are these schedules? Schedule first is the pro forma of the forms. So what the forms we have seen above, that is form 44, form 45, form 46, 46A, 45A, and many other forms are given in this schedule A. Form from form first to the form up to the form 50 with a different sub forms, that is form 40A, 46A, 46B. Likewise the forms, all the pro forma is given in this schedule A. Schedule B is related to the fees. So what is the fees requirement for the testing of this drug? It is given in the schedule B. For example, if somebody want to conduct a pyrogen test, then require fees 500 rupees. If it is for bioassay of antibiotic, then 400 rupees fees. If somebody want to test, or the test requirement is for the potency testing of DPT or DT vaccines, then the fees charged by these laboratories are 2,700. So many of the testing fees for each test and analysis is given in this schedule B. Schedule C and schedule C1, these are related to the import, manufacture, sale, distribution of some biological products. The biological products like a sera, vaccine, toxin, antigen, insulin, fish liver, and other the formulation which are to be administered parenterally. Schedule D is for import of substances not intended for medicinal use. Some of the substances which are not for medicinal use does not require the permission from licensing authority. So which are these substances which do not require permission from licensing authority for its import is given in this schedule. The substances like oats, then lactose, then cereals, pepper, ginger. So all these which are not require the permission is given in this schedule D. Schedule D1 and D2 is related to the information required to submit along with application for import and registration certification. While applying for the permission to import or have the registration certificate from licensing authority, what data the applicant has to be submitted, what are the particulars, how it has to be submitted, what is the fees, that everything is given in schedule D1 and D2. Schedule E, earlier it was there, now it has been omitted, and schedule E1 has been inserted. The schedule E1 consists of list of poisonous substances under Ayurvedic systems. So whatever the poisonous substances mentioned in the Ayurvedic system, that has been given in schedule E1, and these poisonous substances like sarpvish, then hartala, then arka, all these substances whatever mentioned, that is given in this schedule E1. Schedule F is a requirement for the functioning and operation of the blood bank. So blood bank and blood product comes under the biological product, and the Drug and Cosmetic Act has been provided to give some provisions how to operate the blood bank, what should be the norms, what should be the specification of the blood products, what is the area requirement for the blood donation and for the blood collection, that all is given in the schedule F. Schedule F1 is vaccine anti-sera. Schedule F2 standards for surgical dressing. Schedule F3 standard for umbilical tape. Schedule FF is for standard for ophthalmic preparations. Schedule G is list of medicines required medical supervisions. So those the substances or medicines which require a special supervision by the medicinal practitioner, that the list of these drugs have been given in this schedule G. The medicines like bleomycin, then insulin and other medicines, the list is given in this schedule G. The next schedule, that is schedule H, it is a prescription drug. The retailer has to sell the drug with the prescription only. So these types of drug, what are these drugs which can only be sold by the prescription? The list of these drugs has been given in this schedule H. The drug like aciclovir, then the bimatoprost, docetaxel, enalapril, this drug which require the special supervision and to be prescribed by the doctor or RMP mentioned under the Drug and Cosmetic Act. The list of such drug is given in this schedule. Schedule H1 is also prescription drug, and this is related to the prescription of antibiotic medicines. In these schedules, the drug like alprazolam, then cefixime, diazepam, isoniazid and other drugs, these are mentioned in these schedules. Schedule I is omitted one. Then schedule J is the schedule for which applicant cannot claim to prevent these diseases. So the list of the diseases like baldness, cancer, then malaria and other things, AIDS, all these diseases which the applicant or medicine cannot claim that this drug can be cured or prevented or treated by these drugs. The list of such diseases and ailments are given in schedule J. Let us see schedule K. Schedule K is the drug exempted from provision that are applicable to manufacture. For the manufacturing, the certain provisions has to be exempted for special type of drugs. So what are these provision and which type of the drug like a quinine and other antimalarial drug, then antacid preparation. So some of the provision of the manufacturing has been relaxed and are exempted to give while giving the permission. So this is given in the schedule K. Schedule L1 is a good laboratory practices. The practices to be applied in the laboratory are given in schedule L1. Schedule M is a good manufacturing practices. So these schedules again divided into schedule M1, M2 and M3. The good manufacturing practices for the manufacturing of homeopathic drug is given in Schedule M1. For the manufacturing of cosmetic, it is given in M2, and for the medical device it is given in M3, that is QMS for notified medical devices and in vitro diagnostics. Schedule N is the minimum requirement of equipment in a pharmacy, that what are the equipment, minimum equipment the pharmacy should have, that all the equipment has been mentioned in Schedule N. Schedule O is standard for the disinfectant fluids. All the standards which is required to be followed by the manufacturer of the disinfectant has been given in this schedule. Schedule P is life period of a drug, that is the shelf life of the drug. What should be the shelf life of a particular drug? The list of this drug along with its storage and along with its shelf life has been mentioned in this Schedule P. Schedule P1 is the package size of drug. For example, we can say the amoxicillin is the storage condition and the shelf life has given is 36 months. For the penicillin tablet it is given 18 months. And in Schedule P1, package size of the drug like albendazole to be packed in 10 ml or the piperazine granules to be packed in 5 gram size, or if it is a syrup then it should be a 30 ml. So all these, the pack size and the shelf life is given in Schedule P. Coming to the next slide. Schedule Q is related to the dyes, color, pigment permitted to be used in the cosmetics. So as we have said that the cosmetic is also regulated. So whatever the colors, pigments and the dyes used in cosmetic, color like a sunset yellow, tartarizine, all these are given in part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is the specially for the colors, dyes used in the soap, and part 1 is for the cosmetics. Then Schedule R is for the standard for condoms. The how it should be the condom, the standards are given in this schedule. Schedule S is standard for cosmetic. The standard to be followed by the manufacturer or importer in case of the cosmetic is given in this schedule. Schedule T is related to the GMP for Ayurvedic medicines. So in Schedule M we have seen it is a GMP for the routine normal drugs, then GMP for homeopathic, GMP for medical device and cosmetic. Only remaining is the GMP for the Ayurvedic. So what the practice are to be followed for manufacturing of Ayurvedic medicine is given under the Schedule T. Schedule U is related to the record for manufacturing raw material in drugs. So what are record the applicant has to be maintained and has to be shown while the inspection, that the list of these records are given in the Schedule U. Schedule V is a standard for patent and proprietary medicines. Schedule W, it was the list of drug to be sold with the generic drug and it has been omitted now. Schedule X is narcotic and psychotropic drugs. So in this schedule, whatever the narcotic and psychotropic drug which requires special attentions are given in these schedules. The drugs like amphetamine, barbital, ketamine, that can be misused. So all these drugs are given in this schedule. Schedule Y we have seen many times and it is more related to our course, that is related to the clinical trials. So it is the Schedule Y is for the requirement and guideline for permission to import drugs, manufacture of drug, of new drug for sale or to undertake a clinical trials. We will see this schedule in detail in our subsequent lectures. Coming to the next slide, the different drug testing laboratories. So where these all the product mentioned in our different schedules and the categories of the product can be tested, the list is also given here. The Central Drug Laboratory, that is CDL at Kolkata, is responsible for the testing of new drugs. Samples sent by the court, and the drug inspector, as we have seen, the drug inspector will draw the sample for its testing analysis. They can send this sample to the CDL Kolkata. Then the survey sample and the preparation of the standard. This is the responsibility of Central Drug Laboratory Kolkata. Central Drug Laboratory is also available at Kasoli, and this laboratory is particularly involved in the testing and analysis of the biological product, that is a vaccine, sera, OPV testing. So whatever the samples related to the vaccine, sera and other biological product has to be sent and are tested by the Central Drug Laboratory at Kasoli. Then another laboratory, that is for the veterinary medicines, that is Indian Veterinary Research Institute, IVRI. It is at Ijat Nagar. This is involved in testing of veterinary vaccines, veterinary drugs. So whatever the veterinary vaccine and the drug, that can be tested here at Ijat Nagar. The National Institute of Biological, which is at Noida, is mainly involved in testing of in vitro diagnostic kits, that is local and imported. Both the kits, prior its permission, has to be undergo testing at this laboratory. Central Drug Testing Laboratory, that is CDTL, is at Mumbai and Chennai. So these drug testing laboratories are also involved in testing of the samples sent by the drug inspector, and all the new drugs and all the routine survey sample can be tested for that particular zone in this laboratory, except for the special biological products such as vaccine and other. Regional drug testing laboratories at Guwahati, Chandigarh and Indore. So these laboratories has also been created to test this drug sample sent by the inspectors and sent by the survey samples, or any other customer also can send the sample to this laboratory for that particular zone. The Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, it is the laboratory at Ghaziabad, and this laboratory is mainly involved in preparation of drug monograph, and then it's a standard. The Pharmacovigilance Center is also available. This is the coordination center, and the publication of IP is also the responsibility of this Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Coming to the next slide. So what we have seen, these were the central drug testing laboratories. The central government sent the sample to these laboratories. Now let us see the state drug laboratories. So each state has a laboratory for the testing and analysis of the drug, cosmetics manufactured or sold in that particular area. So few of the states, they are not having their own laboratory. They can send the sample to the central government laboratory. Few of the states, they are having many laboratories to test the samples and the drug samples which are taken by their inspectors. Samples sent by drug inspectors are analyzed by such laboratories, as I have said. Then also analyze the drugs sent by any person or purchaser on payment of necessary fees. So there is a provision in the Act and rules that anyone who is aggrieved by the sample or who would like to test the quality of the sample, he can also send this sample in a particular format which is given in our format given in our Schedule A, what we have seen. He can send the sample to these particular laboratories, and these laboratories in particular format give its result to ensure that the drug is having the quality or not. So this is all about this lecture. So what we have seen, let us have a recap of this lecture. So the question for this lecture for you: laboratory responsible for testing of vaccine, sera and biological. You have to mention the name of the laboratory and where it is. So it is the Central Drug Laboratory of Kasoli, which is involved in testing of vaccine, sera, biological and OPV testings. What rules are related to new drug and clinical trials? There are many rules you have to answer. The rules like 122A, B, DAB, DA, DC, DAC, all these rules are related to the new drug and clinical trial. Under which rule registration of ethics committee is mandatory? The specific rule is given for the registration of ethics committee. The rule 122 DD is for the registration of ethics committee. What is schedule L1? We have seen all the schedules. Schedule L1 is a good laboratory practices. So in lecture 4, let us have the recap and summarize it. We have learned about the objective of Drug and Cosmetic Act and rules thereunder. The objective is to ensure the quality, safety and efficacy of the drug available in the market. Then we have seen the different chapters available in Act. There are actually 6 chapters, but is up to 5, that is including 4A chapter, and these chapters are having different sections. Different schedules to the rule. We have seen the different schedules available in the rule, that is schedule A to schedule Y. Then we have seen the drug testing laboratories. There are many laboratories at the central level, and they are having the specific functions related to the biological drugs, then IVD and medical devices. We have also seen the different testing laboratories which are available at state level for the testing and analysis. So this is all about this lecture. We will see something others in our next lectures. Till then, bye bye, see you and thank you.